name is Dhanashri, and on behalf of the IIT SoCal chapter, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you to the first event of IIT SoCal Youth Club, which is on Unlocking Science Olympiad. Today's session is extra special because we have two outstanding Science Olympiad champions, along with coaches who have decades of experience, and they are going to share all the proven strategies for success. And a huge thank you to all the people who have helped us. So Ranjit, Rakesh, Vinita, and of course Swar and Ishanvi, for putting together this wonderful session and organizing this perfectly. We are truly excited to learn from you. Now, as I mentioned, again, I would request everybody to please turn off their video and audio if you're not part of the organizing team. This session will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube. And if you have any questions during the event, please put them in the chat and we will take them up at the end. Now, Swar, could you please? Yeah, thank you so much. So, before we begin, a brief introduction of IIT Alumni Association of Southern California. Next slide, please. So, we are a community of over 3,000 alumni representing over 23 IITs, and we continue to grow every year thanks to all of you. This year, we have launched several new initiatives aimed at strengthening our chapter and creating meaningful value to our members. The IIT SoCal Youth Club is one such initiative designed to be a safe, supportive space for students as well as their parents to have meaningful conversations and grow and succeed in life. And we are always, because this is the first of the sessions, and we want to do more informative sessions like this. So, therefore, we are looking for engaging and impactful sessions. So, if you're interested in hosting or leading a session, please do reach out to us. Now, we also have several exciting upcoming events, and we encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn to keep stay updated. And some of the upcoming events that we are going to host are like golf webcast that's going to happen on February 7th. We have a Kailash Mansarovar Yatra talk where we are going to go through how to plan for this and entire yatra again on Saturday, February 7th. And we are also having an equity investing event on February 21. Now, yeah. And if you're an IITian and you're not part of our WhatsApp group, please do connect with us. We would love to have you. And we will also talk about the youth program in our conference IIT 2026 in the end. So please stay tuned. Now, with that, I would love to introduce two main coaches who are there with us on this event. First, Rakesh Yadav. Rakesh Yadav has 9 years of Science Olympiad coaching experience in San Diego, including Black Mountain, Oak Valley, and Del Norte High School, where he has also served as head coach. He has coached events such as wind power, thermodynamics, machine, chemistry lab, and bottle rocket. So, hi Rakesh, if you could just, yeah. And next is Vinita. Vinita is IIT Delhi postgraduate and an education focused program management professional. She supports initiatives like SoCal IIT Youth Program and currently volunteers as Science Olympiad Metric Mastery Coach, helping build inclusive and effective learning environments for students. So, with that, I'll hand over to our coaches, Rakesh and Vinita. Over to you guys.
Hello. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm not able to see the slides. Is that something you could help with?
If you could move, there are two tabs on the screen, meeting and Swar
I
Sinha's
see it.
screen. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. Well, welcome everybody to Science Olympiad. This is being organized by Southern California IIT Youth Club. Our speakers are Swar Sinha and Ishanvi Dekate. As coordinators, we have today Rakesh Yadav and myself. If you could go to the next slide, please. Let's start with introducing Swar Sinha. She's a young, talented ninth grader at Westview High School. She's currently a coach at Black Mountain Middle School, teaching hereditary. She's participated in several regional, state Science Olympiads for the last 3 years. Some of the most outstanding have been she's been the 6th and 7th place holder in 2024 2025 regionals for micro missions event. She's been the 9th in the regionals and 5th in the state for Write It and Do It event. She's also been the 6th place at a national invitation for optics event. So we do have a very promising young talent with us today. Moving on to Ishanvi Dekate. She is a very inspiring achiever who's a 9th grader at Canyon Crest Academy. She's currently coaching Mission Possible at Pacific Trails Middle School and Hoovercraft at Canyon Crest Academy. She's participated in regional and state science Olympiads for 2 years. She's been the 1st in 2025 regionals, 5th in 2025 state in Mission Possible event, and carrying on with that achievement streak, 2nd place in 2025 regionals in Write It and Do It, 3rd place in flight and metric mastery at 2024-2025 state. These are just some of the achievements that these young talented girls are bringing to you and sharing their experiences with us. Handing it over to the girls.
Thank you, Miss Vanita, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you to IT SoCal for giving us this wonderful opportunity to speak here. And last but not least, thank you for all coming here to learn from us. So to get started off, we have the overview of what we will be doing today. So first, we're going to be learning about what is Science Olympiad. Second, we're going to be learning about why should you take a part of Science Olympiad. Third, we're going to be learning about how our competitions run. And last but not least, we're going to be learning about tips and tricks to help you do your best.
And now we'll be going over what is Science Olympiad. And so Science Olympiad is a fun, challenging science-related competition hosted by your school, where students compete in events related to many fields of science. There are 23 events, and each event focuses on different topics like biology, chemistry, physics, engineering, and earth science. Some events are written tests, while others involve doing things or building or doing experiments. And at the bottom, you can press that link and see more information on Science Olympiad if you're curious.
Building on that, we have events. So, as Ishanvi mentioned, there are 23 events in Science Olympiad. An event is a lab, test, or build topic in the Science Olympiad organization that students compete in. So, most of these 23 events cycle out every 2 years, meaning that they stay for 2 years and then get replaced by another event, while some events are permanent in the event slate every year. Some of these permanent events are Anatomy and Physiology, Code Busters, Crime Busters, Disease Detectives, Dynamic Planet, Experimental Design, Meteorology, and Write It and Do It.
And now we'll go over why you should take Science Olympiad. And so continuing on that, here are some benefits to doing Science Olympiad. For example, you'll get exposure to STEM, and Science Olympiad helps students learn different aspects of STEM and learn their true passion. I know personally that Science Olympiad has helped me learn more about my passions and what sort of career I want to do in the future. I, for one, will probably go towards the engineering side of things and really, really enjoy build events and a lot of other events that are very hands-on. And Science Olympiad really helped me find what I'm passionate about. Next, it also helps build your teamwork skills, since in Science Olympiad, you will have to work with 1 or 2 partners in each of your events. And it is really important that you learn to work well with your partner. And I know in my personal experience, when competing in Write It, Do It, it is a very partner-driven event and needs good communication and teamwork. Otherwise, we would not have done well.
Adding on to what Ishanvi said, another big aspect of this is time management and responsibility. So every student tends to take a lot of extracurriculars on the side with Science Olympiad. And Science Olympiad is something that's known to take a lot of time. So, with this, students have to learn to balance their different events with their other extracurriculars. Personally, for me, I know that I had to balance my 5 events or 4 events with tennis and swim and just school in general. So it really adds on to the responsibility aspect of it, in where you have to create a good schedule so you can be well rounded in everything that you do. Next, we have fun and friendships. This is arguably one of the most important aspects of it, whereas it helps strengthen bonds with peers and brings your school closer together. So, spending so much time in Science Olympiad, you tend to get closer with your partner, your team, and you just be closer in your friendships as well. At competitions, you go and you meet new people and you make friends with them as well. This is actually how I met Ishanvi at a Science Olympiad competition, and now we're really close friends. So, in conclusion, these are a bunch of good benefits that you get from Science Olympiad.
Next up, we're going to be talking about how competitions and events are run.
Okay, so now we have divisions. Science Olympiad divides different school levels into separate divisions, with schools competing with one another in the same division. Each division has different events that schools compete in, with some overlapping events in divisions B and C. So, Division A consists of elementary school competitions, which includes grades kindergarten through 6th. Next, we have Division B, which is the middle school science Olympiad competitions, which includes grades 6th through 9. Last but not least, we have Division C, which includes high school competitions, grades 9 through 12.
So these are the different event groups that the 23 events are divided into. First off, we have life, personal and social science, which includes anatomy and physiology, disease detectives, entomology, heredity, and water quality. These are the more bio-related events and a lot more about your human body and about the world around you. Next up, we have earth and space science. And these events focus on the earth, how geology and the weather and space, and focuses a lot more on that. Next, we have physical science and chemistry, which focuses a lot more on the labs and physics-related events. And then we have the technology and engineering design events, which are all build events, and they are related to actually building actual devices or scale models of real-life vehicles or devices. And then we have inquiry and nature of science, which focuses a lot more on scientific skills needed and are very helpful if you plan on going on a science track.
That brings us to the life and personal and social sciences. This is one of my favorite event groups because so many events that include this. So, first we have anatomy and physiology. This event is about the anatomy and physiology of various systems in the human body. Division B and C will both concentrate on 3 systems, which change each year. As previously mentioned, this is a permanent event and is common between divisions B and C. I personally have competed in this event last year, and I really liked this event. I thought that it's really information packed and you tend to learn a lot from it. Next, we have Disease Detectives. This is an event that focuses on epidemiology, which is the study of distribution and determinants of health conditions in specified population and the application of that study to control those health problems. I've had many friends which have done this event and I've heard no problems or complaints from all of them. Next, we have entomology, in where competitors have to identify insects and other arthropods. Don't let the small description fool you. There's over 100 insects and arthropods that students have to identify, and I think this is a very fascinating event. Next, we have Heredity. This event I currently coach at Black Mountain Middle School. So, Heredity has topics including genetics, molecular biology, and hereditary inheritance. This event is just as fascinating as the rest, and I also thoroughly recommend that you take it. Last but not least, we have water quality, where students are tested on an understanding and evaluation of freshwater aquatic environments. All of these events are test events where you're given a packet and you have either a cheat sheet or a binder, and you're just tested on all the information that you've learned. So, if you are interested in biology, then this is an event group that you should definitely look into.
Continuing on with the events, we go into Earth and Space Science. So the first event in this event group is Dynamic Planet, which focuses on the physical and geological oceanography. And I've heard from many friends that this is a really fun event, and it's a binder event. So you're given a binder and you're able to use that during the test. And next we have meteorology, which is the use of scientific process skills involving qualitative and quantitative analysis to demonstrate an understanding of the factors that influence everyday weather through the interpretation of data, graphs, charts, and images. I personally have a close friend who is a coach for meteorology, and I know that he really, really likes this event. So definitely go into this if you're interested in Earth or space science. And next we got remote sensing, in which you will use remote sensing imagery, data, and computational process skills to complete tasks related to environmental processes in the Earth system. Again, a really fun event. And then we go on to rocks and minerals, where people identify and classify rocks and minerals and demonstrate knowledge of how they can use and demonstrate knowledge of how they help to understand geologic processes, interpretation of Earth's history, the development of natural resources, and use by society. Next, we have solar system, in which you will be tested on your knowledge of planet formation and structure within and beyond the solar system. All of these events are really fun, and I definitely recommend if you're interested into geology or astronomy or any of those sort of fields of study.
Building onto that, we have physical science and chemistry. So, one of the events from this category is hovercraft, where teams must design and build a hovercraft, which is a self propelled air levitating vehicle, and have it move down a track. This event, I have a really close friend who coaches this event, and it's extremely fun and it's hands on, so you can never get bored of this event. Next, we have Circuit Lab, where students are tested on their knowledge about the study of circuitry, electricity, and magnetism. Next, we have Machines, where teams will compete on a written test on simple and compound machine concepts and construct a lever-based measuring device prior to the tournament to determine the mass ratios between three test masses. This event is so interesting, and I've definitely looked into this event a lot because it was an event that's new, but I really would have wanted to compete in it previous years. Next, we have Crime Busters, where participants use concepts in chemistry to solve a fictional crime scene. They will be given a scenario, possible suspects, and physical evidence. They will be able to perform tests on the evidence and use the results to solve the crime. I previously have participated in this event, and this event is kind of where I found my love for like murder mysteries and just forensic science in general. And I think this event is so interesting. And if you ever have the time or the interest to join an event, this event is definitely in the top three. Last but not least, we have potions and poisons, which is about the chemical properties and effects of specified toxic and therapeutic chemical substances, with a focus on household and environmental toxins or poisons. This is also hands on, and I've heard from many of my friends and people who have coached and competed in this event that it's really interesting. And if you this is also very chemistry based, so if that's something that you're interested in, you should definitely check out Potions and Poisons and Crime Busters. Whereas if you like physical science more, you should check out Hovercraft, Circuit Labs, and Machines.
Okay, so next up, we're going to be exploring the Technology and Engineering Design group. So these events are all build events, and they are very hands-on. So first off, we have Boom Lever, where competitors design and build a boom lever prior to the competition with the intention of supporting the most load with a small weight. So on the left, on the top left, you can see a boom lever that I actually made, and it has to hold a weight on its leftmost end, and it needs to hold the most weight. And also needs to be as light as possible, which is how you get the most points. And it is definitely an event I recommend trying if you're interested in constructing if you're interested in constructing or hands-on sort of activities. Next up, we have helicopter, where students compete to build a balsa wood helicopter powered by a rubber band motor that has the longest flight time possible. On the right, you can see a helicopter, which I actually made, again, for Science Olympiad this year, and I definitely really like this event. I'm very interested in aerospace, and I definitely recommend doing that if you're interested in things flying. And next, we got Mission Possible, where prior to the competition, participants design, build, test, and document a Rube Goldberg-like device that completes a required start and final action through the series of specific actions. And I'm actually coaching this event for Pacific Trails Middle School. And it is definitely a really fun event, and it takes a lot of time, but it's definitely worth it once it works properly. You spend so much time on it, and when it works, you get really happy. It's a really fun event. Next, we have Scrambler, where teams design, build, and test a mechanical device which uses the energy from a falling mass to transport an egg along a straight track as quickly as possible and stops close to the center of the terminal barrier without breaking the egg. This is a vehicle event, so you're going to be creating a a device similar to a car, and that car has to transport an egg from point A to point B without having the egg break. So it takes a lot of practice and calibration, and all of these events are ones I recommend doing because build events are really, really fun.
Last but not least, that brings us to the inquiry and nature of science events. So this is very teamwork based, very scientific processes based, starting off with Codebusters, where up to 3 participants must decode encrypted messages, or they may be required to encode messages with certain advanced ciphers. So this is a time-bound event where you basically have to know a bunch of different ciphers like the Caesar cipher, the Atbash cipher, to encode or decode a message. Next, we have experimental design, where competitors design, execute, and write a description of an experiment based on the topic and materials provided. This event is also very teamwork based, whereas you have to be working with your partners and you have to practice a lot for this event as well, as in the other 3 events too. Next, we have metric mastery, which is an event that if you're interested in math this is a great event to take because it's where teams will estimate and then measure properties of identical objects, including mass, area, volume, density, force, distance, time, and temperature. Teams will also perform metric unit conversions. So if you really like numbers, this is definitely an event that I would recommend to you. Last but not least, we have Write It, Do It. This event is one of my personal favorites. So this is where one participant will write a description of an object and how to build it. The other participant will attempt to construct the object from this description. So in this event, basically the writer part, so the write it part, so there's one writer and one doer. So the writer will be given a structure, and basically he or she has 20 minutes to write, and you cannot draw, to write a description of what they're seeing. Like, how would your partner build it? So you have 20 minutes, and this is in a separate room from the doers. After those 20 minutes, the doers have 20 minutes with the description that the writers made to attempt to build the closest possible structure to what the writer was given based on the description. I participated in this event, and me and my partner, we always placed in whatever invitational regional there was. It's because we work together a lot. This is a lot of practice, but it's also an extremely fun event, which is I would recommend to do and especially with a friend, because the more practice you have together, the more you know each other, the easier it is to do this event.
Next up, we're going to talk about competitions. So there are 3 or 4 types of competitions. We have invitationals, regionals, and then the state/nationals. So invitationals are basically practice competitions held by different schools to allow students to practice for future competitions. So invitationals tend to lead up to the regional tournament. And so at invitationals, they will host all the different events for any division, and they will have tests for it and have event supervisors, proctors in each room during the event. And then students will be able to compete with their partners, and they're really, really fun. They have award ceremonies, and students are able to get medals. And these invitationals won't count towards getting to state or nationals, but it is definitely really, really good practice competing in a competition environment. Next up, we have the regionals, which is the main competition where you compete with schools in your region and in your division in order to advance to the state competition. So this is the main competition you're working towards. You go to the regionals, you compete in your events, and then you will be given rankings and placements. And overall, based on how your school does, you will be able to advance to the state competition depending on how many teams or how many schools they're allowing to advance to the state. And that brings me to the state/nationals, where competitions with teams from other regions, at least for state, or when you're competing with other states at nationals. And if your team gets into state, from there you can compete to go to nationals. And basically, depending on how you do at regionals, you'll go up to the state competition. And at state, if you're able to do well enough, I think in Southern California at least, it's the first place winner will go to the national competition, which is held in different states. Different colleges will, different colleges around the country will host the national competition. And it is definitely like a really, really fun experience.
Next, we have how teams compete. So each team is allowed a max number of 15 people. So these 15 people, so each team participates in 23 events, and teams from the same school are counted as separate teams and competitors. Then different competitions allow different amounts of teams. So invitationals typically allow 2 to 6 generally, and then regionals allow 6 to 7, and states and nationals allows only 1. Next, we have the general timeline. So this is where it kind of goes on for the entire year. And it all starts in July, where draft rules are released. Draft rules are the set of rules that are not confirmed to be exact and set in stone yet, but they're kind of just a draft for what the real rules will look like in September. Each year, these are released in July only to the coaches that attend the special summer workshops. Moving on to September, where classes actually start. So this is where Division B schools generally start their classes, and this is when the official rules are released. So classes start, rules get released, and students start learning about what classes they're taking. All the way from September to February, we have invitationals, as Ishanvi explained. After classes start and till before regionals, which are generally held in February, March, invitationals are held. So these mini competitions are held kind of just to see where you are and to test your knowledge. This way, coaches get a better understanding of what they need to teach, kind of what regionals will look like in February. Then in February, we have the main competition, which is regionals. This is where all of the schools in your region kind of come together and compete in all the events. And depending how you do here, in April or May, you generally get to states or nationals, depending on how you do in state. So suppose you do really good at regionals, and one team from your school is allowed to go to state. Now in April, You compete if you get chosen for the one team from your school. You compete at state in April. Then, from there, if your school happens to do extremely good and get first place, you are allowed to move on to nationals, which is generally held in May, somewhere over the country.
Next up, this is a example time block or time schedule that you will be given for different competitions or invitationals. You'll be given a document or a spreadsheet that looks like this. And basically, this is for Division B. This is a Division B event schedule. And so each team is assigned a number. So, for example, if my team was B14, I would be competing in anatomy and physiology from 8 to 9 a.m. since B14 is in that time block. So all the teams between B14 and B27 will compete in that time block. And they'll tell you the location, what division it is, what event it is, and the time that you have to be there. Generally, try to get to your event 10 minutes before it starts. They'll give you time between events. Like you'll see that from 8 to 9 there's an event, then from 9:15 to 10:15 there's an event. So it'll give you time to go from place to place. And these are really important that you look at if you're competing, and make sure that you know when your event is and where it is and what your team number is, so you know when you're competing.
Adding on to that, make sure you know when your event is, because I have a really funny story from the past where I was in seventh grade and I swear I had looked at the event blocks like at least 10 times, but I had looked at it wrong. So I thought that my event was from 9:15 to 10:15, when in reality it was from 8 to 9. So I was at home at 7:30 a.m. and I was looking over it one last time and I saw, oh, my event starts in half an hour. And I had to pull like the fastest get ready and get out into the car and get to regionals to be able to compete in this event. So I think that taught me that make sure to always look and confirm with your coaches that this is when your event and this is what time you should be there by. I think a comfortable time should be about half an hour or an hour before. So it's kind of just taught me to make sure to always be cautious and look at it multiple times and make sure you're reading it right.
Next up, we have the national tournament conflicts. So this is basically to make sure that, let's say you want to compete in one event and you want to compete in another event, it's to make sure that you don't end up having a test in the same time block. So the way that they handle this is that there are 6 time blocks throughout the day, and there are 7 groups on the national tournament conflicts. The first 6 groups, from groups 1 through 6, will all be competing at the same time, which means if you're in Codebusters, you will not be allowed to compete in the disease detectives at the same time, or because they will be competing at the same time in the same time block. Each event will be given a 1-hour time block, with most tests taking 50 minutes. So you will not be able to compete in Codebusters and Disease Detectives this year for that. And then Group 7 is all the build events. So these events, you are going to be able to schedule into whatever time block you and your partner are able to. So let's say you have an event in block 1 and your partner has an event in block 2. You'll be able to schedule your own event. Let's say you're in hovercraft, you'll be able to schedule that for block 3 or block 4 or block 5, depending on you and your partner's schedules.
Okay. Last but not least, we have tips and tricks to excel. These are some tips and tricks that me and Ishanvi thought of with With our past competition experience and some mistakes that we made from this. So, one of the first tips that we have is to stay organized, especially for binders and cheat sheets. So, each event or each study event may have a binder or a cheat sheet. So, a cheat sheet is one page and you get front and back for information, while some events may have binders full of information. The tip for this is that make sure you know where everything is. Make sure you're organized, you have everything in the cheat sheet in an organized manner. So on the day of the competition, you can just look through it and quickly find it instead of wasting time flipping through the pages or reading every single line just to find one piece of information. This brings us to the next tip, which is for cheat sheets, use Google Slides and not Google Docs because in the past I've tried to use Google Docs, but in Google Docs it's so difficult to format the images. The images don't go where they're supposed to, or they're just really hard to move around. In this scenario, Google Slides is much better where you can easily move around the images and information can wrap around the images, unlike Google Docs. Which brings us to our third point, which is kind of obvious, but do not cram in studying at the last moment. This ties with the responsibility aspect where you should be studying from the first day and you should be studying every week. So, because your brain can't retain the information that you just crammed in last night. So, it's never a smart idea to cram in studying. Which, in response, when we're talking about responsibility, it brings us to the next point where you should start your cheat sheet and binder from the first class and keep adding to it. When we say this, we mean that from the first class that your coach has started teaching, you should be taking notes, you should be adding to your cheat sheet or your binder because in a couple weeks, you're going to try to go back and you're not going to be able to remember what your coach taught you then. So if you take notes every class you have, or you build on your cheat sheet and binder every class you have, then you won't be forced to make it 1 week before the invitational or 1 week before the competition. Which brings us to our next point, which is do not change the build the night before the competition. Your build you have tested, you've held faith in for the last couple of weeks. If a week before in advance you realize, oh, I want to make another build, this is an idea that you should not follow through with because you want something that you've tested, that you have faith in, that even though it might not do as well at the competition, your new build won't have any backup as your build that you have right now. Which brings us to our next point, which is to make sure to have backup builds. You never know what could happen the day before a competition, the week before a competition. And sometimes one day or even 1 week is not enough to build a whole nother structure. So personally, for me, I think it was 1 week before the USC Invitational, where my flight happened to break. So it was really good that I had a backup flight that I could use instead, because that 1 week before was not enough time to make a whole nother flight and test it. So always make sure to have backup builds.
Continuing on with what Swar was talking about with tips and tricks, these are some other tips that we came up with that we learned through these past few years of doing Science Olympiad. So the first point is try to minimize margin space on cheat sheets, as well as abbreviating words and trying not to use punctuation or correct grammar. This cheat sheet is only going to be seen by you and your partner, so you don't have to worry about too much about using proper punctuation or correct grammar. You can use abbreviations, and it saves a lot of space, which means you can put more and more information on it and you don't have to memorize everything. And by minimizing margin space, put everything as close to the ends of the paper as possible so you have as much space as possible for your cheat sheet so that you don't have to worry about having not enough information. And then that brings us to our next point, which is to make sure you can understand the cheat sheet well and you know it well. This is really, really important because, like Swar said, during competition, you don't want to be reading through every single line of your cheat sheet trying to find one specific thing that you don't remember. You need to make sure that you have your cheat sheet organized in such a way that you are able to understand it and your partner is able to understand it, and you can both navigate it so well that you know exactly where to find the information you need. And then our next point is make sure to take notes during class and keep revising them throughout the season. I remember that when I competed in anatomy last year, my coach made us take notes during class, which at the beginning seemed a bit annoying, like, oh, why do we have to take notes? That's so annoying. Should we have slide decks? But it was so helpful when preparing for regionals and state later in the season because I didn't have to go searching through a billion slides and I could just easily find what I needed. And it was extremely helpful when creating my cheat sheet. I didn't have to go through all these slides. I could just look at my notes and quickly reference them. And it was definitely helpful when I was studying with my partner or doing anything like that. You just keep revising them. And it was really helpful when we were preparing for the state. And next, make sure to take advantage of your breaks, such as Thanksgiving and winter break. This is really valuable time because you won't have school, which means you have an extra, let's say, like 6 hours per day to do whatever you need to do. Of course, take a break, but it is definitely helpful to use some of your winter break and Thanksgiving break to work on your builds, to work on your cheat sheet, meet with your partners, do some practice for labs, and it helps you a lot in the long run when you're preparing for regionals because you won't have to do as much work at the end nearing the last few weeks of before regionals. And our last point is to make sure that you work and communicate with your partner or partners and coach to make sure that everyone knows what's going on. You and your partner need, like this ties into the teamwork aspect where you and your partner need to work together to create your cheat sheet, create your binder, create your build. And you need to make sure that your coach also knows what's going on between you and your partner and what is the status on your cheat sheet, your binder, your build. And you got to make sure that everyone is communicating with one another. Make sure you and your partner are on each other's speed dial almost, so you guys can just quickly be like, "Hey, what do you remember? What we need to do for a cheat sheet? When can we meet up to practice? Do a practice test?" And make sure your coach knows that you guys are preparing on your own. And it is really important to make sure that everyone knows what's going on.
Adding on to that, this is our conclusion and main points. So, in this entire presentation, we went over a lot of information. So, this is it kind of condensed into 5 main points. The first thing that we went over was how Science Olympiad is an elementary, middle, and high school competition that is hosted by the schools. So you compete for your school. Next, there are 23 events covering different areas of science, such as biology, physics, chemistry, earth science, and scientific skills. Next, there are certain events you cannot take at the same time. As Ishanvi talked about it, there are event blocks, and there's 3 or 4 events that you just can't take together. Moving on to the next point, which is make sure to be organized and on time with your studying/building. If you want to be successful in Science Olympiad and have fun, don't push it all off to the last day. Make sure you're organized, you're managing your time well with all your events. And last but not least, make sure to have fun and make friends, because these are some memories that you're kind of going to keep with you forever. So it's the main point. Just have fun, make friends, and learn.
These are some websites and references that you guys will be able to look at. The first one is the official Science Olympiad website, so this will give some more information about the program. And then next is the Division B events, so this is for middle school. These are the different events that middle schoolers are able to compete in with their school. And then on the next point, we have the practice tests for each event. ScienceOlympiad.org is able to have different tests for you and your partner to practice for different study events or different labs. So definitely take a look at those if you're practicing or need just extra practice. And then all the dates, places, and information about past competitions can be found in the last point. And this is really helpful if you're looking at how different competitions went and different things related to those.
Now, this brings us to our pictures. I hope that these pictures encourage you to join Science Olympiad because it shows the memories you make with it, the information you learn, and the friends you make. So this picture showcases me and my friends having fun. This is USC, where it's really pretty there. It's an invitational. These are turtles, and this is Caltech, where state was held. And it's all just so pretty. And looking back at these memories, it makes me miss it all. And I think I just gained so much information from Science Olympiad that I wouldn't have done it any differently. Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Thank you, Swar and Ishanvi, for those wonderful inputs. You've been such great and such great inspirational young talent from IIT SoCal. We definitely appreciate you sharing your knowledge, sharing the fact that how you have gone about achieving what you have. We would now like to have some of the questions that our friends and family have asked with regard to Science Olympiad answered.
Vinita, just for a moment,
Yes.
before we jump into the Q&A, I would just like to invite Priyank and Vivek to talk about 2 exciting events that are interesting for kids as well as their parents. And Vinita, we would take the Q&A after that. So we've received some questions from you, and we're going to talk through them. The questions that we've received in chat, we're going to talk through them. And if you still have more questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, and we'll take them as first come first services. Thanks. Priyank and Suresh, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Dhanashri, for this opportunity. We'll just take a couple of minutes here to announce some of the exciting events coming up. So, is Vivek Chabra, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Folks, you don't know me. I am actually a founder for 21 IQ Labs, IIT, and myself. launched many products in the markets. And I also run a philanthropic program for teaching high school students entrepreneurship, where they build their own companies. And they have gone into top schools, top 100 schools in the markets, running for the last 5, 6 years. We are happy to announce a workshop at IIT, the conference. It's a free workshop for the attendees, up to 100 attendees. The free workshop where we teach. It's a mini workshop for entrepreneurship learning. We'll bring the CEOs and other speakers to talk to the kids. And it will be a hands-on workshop for 3 hours. That is a mini workshop which we will be doing as a part of IATN committee. We also run a small 4 or 5 days summer boot camp, which is a much more extended, where we have taken kids to see nuclear plants. They have gone to see the drones and robotics and aircrafts and all sorts of stuff the last 5, 6 years. I can, since I have only got 1 minute here, I will also put in the information of the website in the chat. You can please check it. And the email is actually on my signature right now. Please send the email if you have any further questions about these two events moving forward. Happy to have everybody come in. We certainly believe in a holistic education. I believe science is one part of it, and the other part is building soft skills as well as the mindset to become differentiated in the markets and as you grow in your careers. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Vivek, and everyone. Please take advantage of this free workshop at IIT 2026. The links will be posted. Is Suresh here?
Yeah, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, could you put up your camera?
Yeah, I'm not able to on the camera for some reason. I'm not sure. I'm on the phone. I'm outside somewhere.
Okay,
but sorry about that. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the opportunity here. So let me ask a quick question, and you can reply in chat or come off mute. How many of you are in sports or golf in particular? Whether you are playing or kids are playing? Quick quote. Yeah. Anyways, so we'll look into that. But the next series of events which I'll be hosting and helping people who are looking for golf as a career, as a job, or into college recruitment or sports in general. So we will be having a 3 web series in approximately alternate weeks starting in February 7th to start with. And then we will just talk about and bring speakers who have gone through this journey. They have gone through the journey from kids golf to college golf and to professional golf as well. And also, we will be bringing in a coach from UC Irvine, the Division One coach, who will be sharing his thoughts as to what the college platform provides for kids. Not only to play sports, if you excel in sports, well, you become pro, or if not, you just continue and enhance your skills or education, how it helps in your career. So we'll be talking all these 3 topics: sports for passion, sports for fun, sports for entertainment. That's one aspect. Sports for career building, and sports for professionalism, making pro, making money, right? So
Thank
all
you.
3 topics we'll be
Suresh.
talking. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So let's get on the Q&As. Thank you, everyone. Hope you guys can get advantage of all these great events that SoCal IIT team organizers are putting up, and also enjoy the IIT 2026. Thank you, Dhanashri. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for
Please go ahead.
thank you, Dhanashri. Thank you for everyone for your inputs. Starting with the first question that we received, it was from Mahesh. Can kids from different schools form a team? I was wondering if Ishanvi or Swar have any inputs on that.
Usually it's hosted by the school, so it tends to be only within the same school. It depends on how big your program is. In my experience, I haven't seen teams of multiple schools. It's more like a school-run event, school-run competition program, but I haven't seen, in my personal experience, any multi-school teams.
Yeah, I haven't seen any multi-school teams either.
Good, thank you very much. Moving on to the next question by Satya Penmetsa. What options do I have if my middle school doesn't have a team?
I think you can, parents can definitely reach out to the school and try to make an organization there. I know that other schools have done that, and if you're the first one to make it, then I think you can make it happen. Make a team there.
You can also, I know that PTMS, Pacific Trails, my middle school, we have a really big Science Olympiad program and we have a lot of resources. So I know that PTMS is kind of sistering another school by helping them with resources. It's a school, I think, it's a school called Horace Mann Middle School, and we're helping them have a Science Olympiad program. So far, they only have one team, but we're hoping to make it bigger. And so then you can definitely try reaching out to other schools in your district, or not even in your district, because this school is not close to us. But you can definitely try reaching out to other schools that have Science Olympiad programs and see if they're willing to help you start it. And then eventually maybe you can have your own program.
Yeah, just to add on that, if the first thing is that you just talk to a teacher, preferably science teacher, and in a lot of science Olympiad in most of the schools is a volunteer-driven program. A lot of parents volunteer for that, so you just get one teacher, and only if you're even if you're alone, let's say you don't need to participate in all the events, just a couple of events, so you can partially participate. Like you may not have a full team. So just go to one parent volunteer, one teacher, and the commitment from the teacher is minimal. You don't need too much of their time because there are a lot of online resources. You just need to register your school in the event. For that, you need teacher.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question by Sumit K. Division A has 15 events this year. According to Peter Hung, Division A events are written to be aligned with Division B and C events. However, there are not many resources to prepare for Division A. Can you recommend any sources, prep guides, or previous year's test papers for Division A?
I'm not very familiar with Division A, but if it does align with Division B and C events, then I think you could definitely use those resources from the websites that we gave you and see if that's something that could help with Division A. Ishanvi, do you have something to add on that?
To add on, I definitely think that Division A, they have different names for the events. I know they're slightly different, at least in terms of that, but I have a feeling that the content that you learn in those events is definitely going to be similar to what you learn in Division B and Division C. So if you're interested in Science Olympiad in your division and you're in Division A, I definitely think you can try looking at Division B and Division C resources to see what exactly you'll need to prepare for. I mean, it might be a bit too high level for an elementary schooler, but you can definitely try looking into those resources. We have on the references, we have the test exchange, the different tests from past competitions. So definitely try looking into that, see what aligns with the Division A material, and see what you can learn from these other tests and other resources.
Thank you for sharing. Moving on to the next question. Sachin, what do you recommend to take the very first step for a kid in the 6th grade and who has never participated before? The question is in terms of exploration of making teams if the school does not offer such event participation. I believe this is in lines with what Mahesh had initially asked, saying can kids from different schools form a team? So in that case,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, I think that would have a similar answer. If your school does not have a science Olympiad and you're completely new to the school, I think that you should be able to reach out to one of your science teachers and kind of explain to them that, oh, I want to participate in Science Olympiad, and oh, what can we do? Can we make a team? Even if it's a small team, I think you could still participate in those competitions.
Yeah, it's definitely a great first step into starting a program if that's what you're interested in. And if there is no program at your school, you can definitely try starting one with the help of your teachers and parents.
Yeah, just one point to add here, like for sixth graders, because some of the events are very theory heavy, and it could be very intimidating for a sixth grader to take events such as anatomy, unless you're a really motivated child and want to do that in that event. So one good tip is just to get introduced to this thing. Take events that have mixed experience of build and theory, such as machines, which has half theory, half build, such as wind power, those kind of events. Uh, if you're more comfortable in theory event, then of course any event you can take. So events like experimental design, where it's fun and there is not much prerequisite for that event.
Moving on to another question by Aman Man. Are these specialized science Olympiad coaches or science teachers at the school? I believe, Aman, I'm not sure if you were around when we did the introductions and we shared some of the achievements, some of the qualifications of our speakers, our coordinators. To rest assure you, we definitely have a very seasoned team of players. We have Swar, who's extremely talented. She's more than willingly shared her inputs, her achievements. So has Ishanvi. They have participated not just at in individual invitationals, they've gone to state and national levels. So definitely these are very seasoned, achieving young girls. And if there's anything specific that you're looking for, please reach out offline to any one of our volunteers. We'll be more than glad to answer that for you. Moving on to Hari Tadakamala. Do we need to register only through schools, or can we form a team from not-profit science organization?
I have not heard of a non-profit science organization forming teams. To the extent of my knowledge, I know that you're only allowed to participate through a school that's competing.
Moving on to another question by Aman Man. And what if our schools doesn't have these teachers? Can we form a team independent of school, similar to what Hari asked earlier? So I'm seeing a common thread of the same question saying, if the school does not have a team or does not have a Science Olympiad committee, how should parents go about it? As previously stated, we've answered that question, and I believe the common theme is the initiation comes from parents and students of the school. You need to go ahead and form a committee. You need to go ahead and have participation and enrollment of that team with Science Olympiad. That is to my understanding. If there's any other input that Rakesh would like to add, or Swar, Ishanvi.
So yeah, these are the bare minimum steps. I mean, it's very easy process. It's not really very big process. All you need to just reach out to a teacher and online register for the events, and then you can choose which events you want to participate. It's really easy, and it looks. I mean, you can really quickly start it. It's not a big bottleneck. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Moving on to a resource that was shared by Sumit. Can you help point us to Division A sample tests and any prep guides? I believe, Sumit, that has been already answered. Division A tends to be for very early stages of students who are interested in STEM. They tend to be more in line with Division B and C. Some of them were already covered as part of the presentation. You're more than welcome to look at the Science Olympiad website. And if you would like to collaborate or get in touch with any of the coaches, mentors, parents from your school or other schools or anybody at IIT SoCal, please do reach out offline. Thank you. Next, we have an input from Sangeeta. Where can we find guide to prepare for regional state? I believe it's regional or state. Ishanvi, Swar, if you could share.
Definitely look at the resources that we had in the past slides, and those are really helpful when trying to make a cheat sheet or a binder. Look at the test exchange on sally.org and just do some research on your own. Those are definitely helpful resources. Of course, you won't find everything, but look at the rules, and the rules you can find exactly what they're going to be testing you on, and then do some research on your own to prepare your cheat sheet and your binder or your builds.
Yeah, I think that the rules that are given, they're the biggest resource that you could have because they're not going to ask anything outside the rules. Everything that you are going to be tested on is in the rules. So if you want to prepare, then you should use the rules as a guidebook.
Thank you. Next, we have a question from Shreyas. Can there be multiple teams from the same school?
Yes. So your school is allowed to send a different amount of teams as per the competition requirements, as stated in the past slides. At invitationals, there tends to be 2 to 6 teams per school, and regionals has, I think, last year it was 6 teams, this year it's 7 for the San Diego regionals. They're allowing that many teams. And then at other competitions like state and nationals, they only allow 1 team. But depending on the competition, you're able to send however many teams. Just remember, these teams will be competing against one another in the competition. However, overall, your school, depending on how your school does, they'll look at the overall and determine whether or not that team will be able to go to the next competition.
Next, we have a question from Sangeeta stating, in the school, they have to take exam to first qualify to be part of a team. If they don't get qualified to be part of a team, any other way to form individual team outside of school? I believe this is in line with the same question saying, can we do inter-school? Can we have non-profit participation? Being part of a non-profit organization, can we participate? I believe that is in line with that. Is there anything additional that any one of you would like to add?
No, I don't think it's possible to create an individual team from what I've heard.
So, can you? I think this is a question from Aman for the upcoming. He's requesting for sharing the link for the golf event. How many hours? So we have a question from Sonali Rao. How many hours per week do you spend on Science Olympiad in Division B to compete in regional / state?
So is this about like how much hours a competition takes or how many hours do you spend studying per week?
I think it's how many hours you need to dedicate or set aside if you're wanting to participate in Science Olympiad.
Okay, so depending on how many events you take, suppose you take 3, and each of those events take an hour like of coaching. So there you have 3 hours set aside already. But then depending on which event it is, like for Write It, Do It, you don't need to study. So it would just be that 1 hour per week. But if it's a study event, then you might want to take an extra hour a week to study based on the syllabus that your coach gave you. And if it's a build event, it may take more time because you spend multiple, for me, when I participated in flight, even though the class would officially be for 1 hour, we'd go after and test until like 9 p.m. in the gyms and spend kind of the whole week just testing. And it'd be like multiple hours, like 5 hours in one day, or maybe 5 hours on the weekends. So it kind of depends which events you want to take and how many you want to take.
Also depends on the type of events you're taking, like how Swar said, labs and studies and builds all take different amount of times. It also depends on how spaced out you're deciding to study or prepare. For study events, you probably shouldn't prepare or cram everything the last few days before a competition, because then it's going to be like 5 hours per day just grinding anatomy or something like that. Otherwise, if you space it out, it shouldn't be too bad. Even for build events, if you space out building your actual device over the course of a few weeks, and you spread out practicing and testing over the course of a few weeks, it should not take too much of your time, because it's understandable that you'll have a lot of other activities going on as well as school. So definitely just depends on how spaced out you're able to make your schedule for this preparation.
Yeah, one practical tip is that the build hours will always take more than what you anticipate. Things which looks very simple, intuitively simple, will take many days, and you have to go to Home Depot many times to make a good build.
Yeah, build events definitely take a lot of time. You have to find all the materials and you have to test many builds, and just it's a lot of work, but it's definitely rewarding if you get a medal or if it works in competition, honestly.
Thank you very much. Ishanvi and Swar, would you say setting around 3 to 5 hours per event per week is a good estimate, roundabout rule of thumb?
I think that could work. It might be a bit aggressive at the beginning, but later into the season, I definitely recommend spending more and more time on Science Olympiad because it's a big time commitment. But at the beginning, you can start off pretty slow, just ease into it, and then you can get into that grind grind time before competitions. So
Yeah,
3 to 5 hours definitely seems good.
Yeah, you might want to start out with 1 to 3 hours, and then the closer you get to the competitions, start spending more 3 to 5 hours.
Sounds good. Looks like you guys definitely need to do a lot of schedule balancing, a lot of planning, participation, preparing. So good job. Thank you so much for motivating our audience. We do have one question regarding, would you be comfortable to share email addresses of coaches in this session to reach out to if we need advice? This is from Hari.
So this is for Priyank. So Priyank, how we want to do the Q&A, and after that, do we have a common email address, or shall we share the individual addresses?
If Rakesh, you and Vinita, if you are okay to help other parents with their questions, if they want to start a new program in their school, if it doesn't exist, we would be very happy to share your email address with everyone. So whoever has registered for this event, we will be sending out a thank you note. If you don't mind, we can add your email addresses too.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to help. Yeah.
Thank you, Rakesh. How about you, Vinita?
Definitely, we'll definitely like to have a follow-on and answer and have participation from the community and enlighten as many members of our community as we can. I think having an email address to share and answer question and answers would be definitely a good starter. If it surmounts to the point that we need to have another enlightening session wherein we have more people coming up with materials that they want to share, resources they want to share, or Q&A, we would definitely be happy to participate.
Yeah, thank you so much. I see there is a question from Sumit K here, who is asking about Division A. So again, I don't know if you have participated in Division A, Rakesh and Vinita.
No, I personally don't have experience with Division A, mostly Division B and C.
So to Sumit's question, Sumit, I'll be more than happy to collaborate with you. I have gone ahead and initiated a Division A program for Willow Grove Elementary. They didn't have a Science Olympiad team. What I can share is that it is definitely a parent-led initiative. A group of parents coming together, working with the school administration, working with their individual students, making sure they are able to spread the word and get enough participation. It is a community effort. So to your answer saying, yes, it can be done for elementary schools, Division A, absolutely. Are there resources that can be shared? Yes, they can be. There are fewer resources, but more than that, we would be happy to share as much as we know and we have on our websites, on our resources. But it's a very doable exercise. It has been done at Willow Grove, and we have a phenomenal response. And the kids being younger, they definitely look forward to it.
Cool. I think with that, we would just like to thank everybody for joining. Before we part, we would really love to have a group photo with all of you. So if you all could please turn on your camera and give us a brightest smile, it would really make our day and the organizing team's day. So we'll just wait for a minute for everybody to turn on their camera. Just a disclaimer, we are going to share it on LinkedIn. So yeah.
Only if you are comfortable with
Yes.
public
Yes.
display. Otherwise,
Awesome. Probably wait for another 30 seconds or so.
yeah. While we are waiting, I just wanted to thank you, Ishanvi, Swar, Rakesh, and Vinita. Very well prepared session and very well done. So thank you for doing that.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Thank
much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
And I
So
hope you guys are planning a few more in this year. So we are looking forward to that as well.
so that let's just
One
put our
second. So
brightest.
Priyank, you want to say like, are we going to have some subject-wise specific session in the future?
Yeah, Ranjit, feel free to share your thoughts on that. I think that's
Yeah, so I think our parents ask during the registration that are we going to have some session on subject-wise like Ishanvi and Swar mentioned by any of the 23 subjects. We would like to have move forward. It depends on the parent interest. So please feel free to send your interest. I mean, Priyanka can send a thank you note via that, and then we can think about to move forward if all agree.
Yeah, Ranjit, if you could send like a survey, what questions we want to get answered, I
Yeah,
can.
which subject? Yep,
Yeah,
correct.
that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So with that, I'm just gonna start the countdown. And yeah.
Thank you so much, IIT SoCal. It's a teamwork, team spirit. Great job. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Cheese. Thank you so much. It was a lovely photo.
Thank you, Dhanashri. You have
Thank you,
done
everyone.
amazing work here.
Thank you. Good. So we can just part and feel free to, answer in the survey based on whatever you want to hear from us next. So thank you so much.
Thank you.